we can't afford to stand still if we're going to grow the profession and keep the profession as strong as it possibly can be, and to have the voice that the profession needs to have. We have to grow this. We have to grow. Everybody has to decide how they're going to do business. It's about finding the way to do what we do for the why that we do it, so that we can rise to the top, so that people understand that we are the top.
Yeah, I think we faced a harsh reality going through and coming out of the pandemic. With changes to light fair, changes to conference and trade show structures, our industry is changing. Some dramatic change is required. And otherwise, I potentially question how strong are we and how do we continue into the future if we're not willing to evaluate the changes that have been thrown our way and make course corrections and chart a new path, a revised path forward. So I think what's been in place was great for where we were at that time. But I think we've had a lot of harsh realities, as everybody has, going through the past 4 or 5 years of how things have changed, and those changes are impacting our membership in this association. And at this point, I think some may say these are drastic changes. I don't feel like they're hugely drastic changes personally, but I think they're due at this point in time, and that we're learning from what the association has gone through over the past few years, and changes in industry and trade shows and light fair, and how best to support our association and membership going forward. And I think at this point, some notable changes are needed in order to set us up for continued success.
I think it goes in the right direction. No, obviously it's based in an experience of the association for so many years, and times have changed so much, and also technology has changed our work. Now we're speaking by computer, so we have another way of thinking, another way of working. No, so I agree that this transformation is very important to be done. No, and quite important to be recognized.
I think that lighting design profession has evolved a lot since the beginning of and the foundation of IALD, and a lot of different ways of and business models has been developed, and IALD needs to address that. This kind of discussion is positive, and everything that come up in this discussion and the result is a positive thing, because we have clearly discussed very crucial things for the association, and we're going to decide on what direction we want to go, and we're going to follow this direction. So I think that this is a process. The leadership needs to move forward, needs to inform the membership. The membership needs to make a decision, and the leadership needs to go in that direction. So I think that this is something very, very positive to the IALD, precisely because we are visiting a time of post-pandemic, and we understand that we need really to change and address the new world. So I think we are in a great moment, and everything that comes up will be positive. I'm certain of that.
Change is hard. It is really, really hard. And the IALD is an incredibly diverse organization with members all across the world that have the way they do business totally adapted to those unique markets. And so it's, in my opinion, up to this point, the way that the code of ethics and the bylaws of the IALD have been written have been very centered on North America in a lot of ways. And I would love to see the way our organization is run and what the bylaws are and the way we label things expand and be more inclusive, because I think there's a lot that we can be learning from one another to help broaden the base of this organization and how we share information and how we run our businesses. I think growth and is going to expand in this field to other continents way beyond where we are today. And to be able to think that, by circling our wagons and tightening our circle to protect ourselves, there are example upon example upon example over the last 20 years, especially of industries that have just petered out and you don't adapt, you don't change, it's going to implode. It will fail. And there's so many examples. I've made the comment at the IALD town hall, but it's like we're the taxi drivers and Uber's at our door right now.
I trust in the board and the task force that has been formed to influence and kind of shape where we're going. So, and it's been a long process. It hasn't been 4 months. It's been 5 years plus, I believe, that this has been studied in depth, taking into account. These are esteemed lighting designers in our industry, former presidents of the IALD. And so we share, I think, all the people on the task force, we all share similar concerns to our membership. So I think time will tell, and I think that nothing is set in stone. We can make a shift in bylaws or code of ethics, and with well intention, and as we move into that next step, we might learn from that well, that did not work as well as we think, and we need to revisit and we need to shift. I don't think we're etching into stone something that's going to live on, for the next 30 years. It may change in 5 years because we realize that we need to shift or we need to evolve. And I think that is the one good thing about the IALD, is that we are nimble. I think currently with our membership size and the active participation from our members around the world, we're able to listen and hear feedback and start to shift and adjust if we find that something's not working the way it needs to benefit our membership.
And some of what we're trying to, I think, be able to do with some of these bylaw changes is to acknowledge that the marketplace overall has shifted. And so I feel like if we were to keep the bylaws as they currently stand, it's not being responsive to the trajectory that we're seeing with how projects are procured from a design perspective, also with how they're being bought out, and what happens when you have a designer that actually makes a product in between that gets used across a larger development. Let's say they come up with one custom, and then all of a sudden it becomes the iconic feature for 3 more buildings. And those instances 20 years ago, we didn't have in contracts. These days, we have IP agreements and things of that nature that have to be in place in order to be compliant with a lot of other statutory needs. And I just feel like our bylaws can be catching up to where some of that contracting is at.
If you would ask me in which time I would like to live, I would say I'm living in the best moment you could ever live in, regarding the history where we developed, regarding the history where we are coming from, and the vision you have actually with all the knowledge about technologies and designs and science, the outlook into the future is just wonderful to be here now. And part of this is the multidisciplinary exchange that we can benefit. And I must confess, I think that's the right word in English, that an independent lighting designer should be understood as an independent lighting designer. What is lighting design? And the wider spread of technological possibilities allows to design in areas we did not have 50 years ago. So we have to be open for changes that are ongoing, because the change is here. And so we could close ourselves from developing, or we accept the change as a chance and as an opportunity to develop ourselves and probably to be part of further modifications, changes, developments.
I think the proposed changes are a due evolution. I think some of what's in the current bylaws and part of the current membership, I think a lot of that is relatively dated, and I think it's due to evolve with the changes and growth of our industry. So I don't have any objections. I'm in support of the changes, and I think they benefit the membership.
From a why now, this is not a new conversation. This is a conversation that people have been having for years and years and years. But this is a conversation that couldn't just keep being a conversation. There are globally a lot of folks that are doing lighting design, and they're doing it at a high level. But because of what it takes, where they are to feed themselves, they have to have a business model that lets them compete in the environment that they're competing in. And it doesn't dovetail with the current bylaws requirements to be a member of the IALD. And that's unfortunate, because there are some fantastic lighting designers out there who, again, like I said, should be part of our community, of the IALD community. They certainly are qualified. And that's the piece that, even though words may change within the bylaws, reality, I think, does not. The goal is still, if you are a professional IALD level member, whatever that designator is, the goal is to be providing very high quality lighting design, to creating very high quality lighted environments in an ethical and sustainable way. That has to be the goal. And so to qualify, to be able to say that that's who you are and that's what you do, that's not really changing. You're still going to have to prove yourself and your capabilities and your understanding and stewardship of lighting design to be able to say that you operate at that level. This is simply opening the door to a much greater worldwide membership, to allow for those who are part of the lighting design profession, doing lighting design, part of our community, actually be within IALD, and to gain and to give.